Welcome back to the programme. I'm Alistair Sanford. Europe is bracing itself as parts of the continent are expected to see temperatures soaring above 40 degrees Celsius this week. Meteorologists say this June heatwave will possibly break previous national all-time records in France before Friday. Today, a high of 36 degrees is forecast for Paris. Both Madrid and Lyon in France could see temperatures reaching 38 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, Rome is also expected to reach 38 degrees. In Toulouse, 40, and in northern Spain, 42 is predicted for Zaragoza. Well, to tell us more about this unusual early summer heatwave, Euronews' Hanan Fajani joins me here in the studio. Hanan, we're here in Lyon in central France. It's hot enough, but the temperatures are expected to get even hotter, especially to the south.
It will get hotter. I'm talking about record-breaking temperatures, as the scorching heat wave here in France, indeed, across the country, and it's already deemed historic. More than half of the country, the territory, is already on high alert, and many parts of France are expected to reach the 45 degrees Celsius mark by the end of the week. So the French weather forecasting agency, that's Météo France, is predicting that those peaks will hit the southern towns of Nîmes and Carpentras by Friday, probably on Friday specifically. And they're also saying that this is unprecedented. And the reason for that is that it's hitting so early in the month of June, and that has not been seen since 1947. So just to put things in perspective, this heat wave is reminiscent of the 2003 one that struck France. But even then, the highest temperatures of 44.1 degrees were recorded in the month of August. So you just see how unusual this is.
Yes, and I've seen that some of all the hottest temperatures since 1500 have all been in the last few years since the turn of the century. Now, France's health minister has had things to say. She's been describing this as the new normal, saying we've just got to get used to it. We've
got to get used to it, absolutely, because heat waves are becoming much more common across Europe, and they're expected to double in frequency by 2050. That's still according to the National Forecasting Agency. And so authorities are urging people to adapt to temperatures and to keep hydrated, of course, also to make sure that they keep an eye on children and older people who are much more vulnerable to these kind of temperatures. And of course, if you want to make the situation more bearable at home, keep your houses and windows closed as much as you can.
Hanan Fajani, thanks for joining us. We'll be following this, of course, through the week as the heat wave develops. Well, now we're going live to Paris, Berlin and Rome to talk to our correspondents there about what's being done in each of these European capitals in the face of the heat wave. Annalise Borges is in Paris for us. Annalise, I understand that the authorities there are taking action to limit the number of cars. What are they proposing and how's that going to work?
Good morning, Alistair. Absolutely. Authorities are hoping to keep more than 1 million cars out of the streets of the French capital this Wednesday. Only electrical vehicles and vehicles registered as category 1 or 2 in the emissions scale, a system that already exists here in France, will be allowed to enter the French suburbs of Paris and the streets of the French capital this Wednesday. Parking spots will be made free in certain areas, in certain residential districts here in the French capital as well, to try and encourage a high number of people to leave their cars behind. And that is, of course, because hot temperatures can worsen the quality of the air, producing spikes in pollution that can have devastating effects on our health. Authorities are taking this very, very seriously this time around. They have placed healthcare personnel on high alert. They are closing down several schools across the country, and a national exam, the brevet, has been postponed until next week. The idea really is to try and avoid a repeat of that catastrophic heat wave that killed 15,000 people here in France back in 2003. So authorities are asking people, if they can, to remain indoors. But for those who cannot, to identify some of the 900 cool spaces that have been put in place and that have been open to public since Sunday so that people can cool off. The River Seine that you see behind me is not one of them. This is off limits. People cannot swim in the River Seine, but there have been public pools and areas of the Seine that have been transformed into small public basins so that people can cool off. And of course, the idea really is to try and keep people away from the sun, away from the heat of the day to try and avoid devastating health effects for those affected. And Paris and France is, as you said, Alistair, not the only place where temperatures are set, record temperatures are set to be broken this week. We're now going to go to Germany, where my colleague Jessica Saltz has been standing by for us. Jessica, what do you have for us in Germany?
Yes, indeed, Annalise. It looks like records are going to be broken here as well. The heat wave currently due to peak today in parts of Germany, not only breaking the records for the hottest June since 1947, but we may be seeing Germany's hottest day since records began in parts of the country today. So far, the hottest day on record in Germany was registered at 40.3 degrees Celsius in Bavaria in 2015. But as temperatures are creeping up to 40 degrees in parts of the west and the south of the country, and perhaps beyond 40 degrees, this record could indeed be broken. I am at the Weißensee Lake in Berlin, one of the many lakes around the city where Berliners and visitors to the city are choosing to cool off. You can see some people here behind me getting ready to take a dip into the lake here to cool off. And of course, this heat wave is very much front page news today. If we look at the regional version of the Bild newspaper, the big tabloid in Germany for Berlin and Brandenburg, it's got, of course, the temperature that it's due to get in parts of the region today, 39 degrees, with this newspaper promising to give away ventilators, air conditioning units to readers, which will be very well welcomed, I'm sure, because they're selling out in parts of the country. The BZ newspaper today saying that there's fires in Berlin and Grunewald today. These trees are burning. Fire authorities very much on alert here. And just a quick look at the Frankfurter Allgemeine broadsheet newspaper here. This is not a work of art here on the front. This is rather a scientific graph showing just how much the planet has heated up since 1850. Some somber words in this newspaper about how this heat wave we're experiencing is very much linked to climate change. And of course, here in Berlin it is very hot, but Georgia Orlandi is for us in Rome, where she's been speaking to people there about how they are dealing with temperatures that are rising.
Yes, Jessica, people here in Rome are used to the heat, but this is a different situation. Weather forecasters have warned about this week that we'll see one of the most intense heat waves ever recorded in the country, despite the fact that there have been some unexpected storms in the last days. Well, here in Rome yesterday, the average temperature was around slightly above 30 degrees, but the peak really will be Thursday and Friday with highs of 37, even 40 degrees across the country from the center to the north of Italy. Now, authorities today have issued an orange alert in 16 cities, which is the one just before the highest, the red one, which is issued for tomorrow in Rome and in Florence and in other 4 cities. That means that authorities have told people to stay in the shadow, not to go under the sun between 11 and 6 p.m. They've also told them about the risk, the health risk from rubbish piling up on the street and melting under the sun. Now, I've been speaking to some tourists here in Rome, asking them whether this heat wave is disrupting their holidays or not, and how do they cope with the extreme weather conditions, and this is what they had to say.
We are from Ukraine, Odessa, and I'm sure that it's possible, and we have a lot of different kind of ice cream, for example, and maybe Trevi Fontaine, and for sure you have to enjoy Rome every weather you can be here.
Well, one of the easiest ways for tourists to cool off is to try and dip in one of the many fountains here in Rome, which is illegal. Authorities have fined some tourists back on Sunday. As you can see, I'm standing here right in Piazza di Spagna, and the place here is very likely to get crowded in the next few hours as temperatures will increase.